Hi folks, I'm here today to talk to you about the Prepper Supply Tracker. It's an application that allows you to track your preps so that you can easily rotate them when they're about to hit their expiration date instead of having them go bad and potentially losing hundreds if not thousands of dollars. It's a pretty simple app. It's basically lets you scan the barcode and then it automatically captures products that we have in our database and puts them into your bucket or your list of items in your profile so that you can view them and easily track them and monitor them and modify the quantities inside of the application. So in order to use this, the first thing you must do is register, which is very simple. You just go to the login page, click on register, and fill in the information here. And we do have a 15-day free trial that you can sign up for it so that you can test the app and see whether you like it or not and it's something you actually want. And if you're happy with that, then you register, sign in, and then you're ready to start tracking your preps. And that's the next thing we'll talk about. Okay, upon logging in, this is the first thing you'll see. You'll be asked to allow the application to access your camera. We need to do this in order to be able to scan your preps, so go ahead and allow that. Now, one of the things you will notice is that every time you log in, it's going to ask you for that. So in order to stop that annoying question from showing up on your iOS device, your iPhone, is to go to your web settings by clicking on the double A at the very top, clicking on web settings, clicking on camera and saying allow. This will then give it permission to access your camera all the time without having to constantly ask you for permission to do so. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually scan two items. One that has a barcode that's in our database and one that has a barcode that's not in our database that'll fail that you'll have to manually enter, which is a good use case for showing you both the auto magically added item and the item that will have to be typed in manually and have a picture taken of it. So first item I'll start with is a 6-pack of ramen noodles. And what you want to do here is you want to give it some alias. I'll just say ramen. This is 6-pack. The expiration date on this is 12 14 21. And yeah, we're good to go. So now the next thing I need to do is find the barcode, hold the box steady, take a picture of it, and there you go. It's just been added to your recent items, and it's also in your view items, which is your main bucket. So that's what this is what's the actual result of what the application actually did. It captured the item, it captured the actual category it belongs to, and quantity, barcode, and the expiration date, and the manufacturer, which is something you didn't have to type in. Now, if we go into our recent, or sorry, our view items, we'll see that it's here. But I have a bunch of stuff in here that's like all of my prep, so I'll cover this later. But as you can see, it's over here under ramen, and what we can do is one of the features of the application is that you can actually search. And if you want, you can type in the actual search phrase, or if you're a little lazy like me, what you'll just do is just snap a picture of the barcode, and it'll just show up. So that gives you a faster way of searching things. So here you go. We have ramen 6-pack, and we have multiple. I have multiple items, like multiple packs of ramen. So you can see here, though, the application does is it separates them by expiration date. So the one we just entered expires on the 14th. And oh, look, I've done this before, so I do have another pack that expires on the same day, another 6-pack. But I also have a pack that expires on the 4th, 18th, and the 24th. So the application not only allows you to add items, but it allows you to add the same item with different expiration dates, and then you can easily choose from them by finding the item and then just clicking on the select drop-down box. It'll show up for the item that you have duplicates of with different expiration dates. Okay, I'm gonna go over one item that I didn't actually go into detail in, and that's the actual typing out on the search bar. Talked about doing it with the barcode because I was just being lazy, but say here if I wanted to find that ramen we added before, I would just type in ramen. Okay, that's good. I would just click out here. You would just like click over where it says need estimation or something just to get that search bar out of the way. And here you have access to everything that have ramen. Now, Nutriment has ramen in the word chocolate Nutriment, and there's a ramen there, so that's why that shows up. But yeah, as you can see here, we have our ramen that we captured earlier, and then here you can see the one that we added, which has the 14th expiration date on. If I click on that, I'll get access to that ramen. And here you can modify the date. You can change the quantity if you've eaten some of them, or if you've completely devoured them, you can delete it and just remove it from your preps. And you can do this with any of your preps. And yeah, that's it. You can basically modify and view your preps and like control them in an easy fashion, like I've just showed you here. So that's basically search in a nutshell. It's both barcode and autocomplete typing at the search bar and the view items page, and in other pages that we'll cover later. Okay, so now we're gonna actually go over an item that's not in the database that you would scan but then get an error message for, and then we'll just talk about that and a bit of detail here. It's pretty simple. This is a cool feature because not only does it allow you to add things that are not in the database, but it also add random stuff without barcodes at all, which I'll show you. Which, as you can see, I have like a water jug here. So what we'll do is we'll just capture this nutmeg that has a barcode, but that's not in the database currently, and we're using this as an example. And what I'll do here is I'll simulate trying to have the application add this for me automatically by not specifying that I have to manually enter the product. So here I would specify the quantity as 1 and the expiration date is February 3rd, 23. Okay, that's good. Ready to go. Now what I would do is I would hold this steady, make sure you have good focus on the actual barcode, snap, application searching, and then you'll get this error message that says we couldn't find that product in our database. Please enter the product manually with a clear picture of the barcode. Please enter the product manually with a clear picture of the product front and enter the barcode into the barcode field. So that basically just telling you, hey, you took a picture of this barcode, I searched for it, I couldn't find it. Please just go ahead and add that manually. So in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to enable this one checkbox here that says manually enter product. You just click, and then what it does is it expands and it gives you all these fields. Now it clears out everything, so you're gonna have to just type this in again. So here I would just say nutmeg. The quantity is the same. I know this was made. Oh, what? This is the actual category. So this is something that you would have to type in, and it'll start auto completing and suggesting categories for you. So I know this is a spice. So what I'll do is seasoning and spices. So okay, that's good. I know the manufacturer is Lido. And the barcode, you can type anything here if you want, but yes, you're staring at the barcode. You might as well add the barcode. I know the barcode is 2748494. Expiration date is 2/3/23, and we're done. So now the only thing we have to do now is, capture a picture of the product so that you know later when you're looking at this thing what it is this particular product's referring to. So what I'll do here is I'll just snap a picture and it's been added to my recents queue. And as you can see, we have our nutmeg over here. And that was a product that was not in the database that we'll eventually add at some point. But that goes to show you that, even something that doesn't have a barcode can be added. Now, going back to the add items page, what I'll do is I'll show you an item with no barcode. And that's pretty much anything else that you can think of, a firearm or your air conditioning, whatever, anything you can think of whatsoever, like your power units, etc. something that doesn't have a barcode on it, like this jug of water. So what I'll do here is, I know it doesn't have a barcode, so I'll just go to the bottom, say manually enter product. And here I would say, you know, maybe I'll just call it my water. I have one jug, and I'll just say water. The manufacturer, I don't know, I'll just call it God, like this came from, or just nature, whatever. Like people, some people may not want to do that. I'll just call it nature to be neutral. Barcode, you don't really have one, so you can just type in A or whatever you want. And this, I'll just say it expires, you know, in May of next year, which is thinking about like 6 months from now. It gives me time to, you know, react to like being able to rotate this piece of water. I think the recommendation is 6 months, and then you know you rotate out the water. And once that's all done, next thing I have to do is just take a picture of the jug. I'll try to get a good picture of it and without the background noise. And there you go. Snap the picture, and there you go. So going back to our recents, we'll see that we have both the nutmeg and the water, and I've set my expiration warning to 6 months, so that's why this is showing up as red. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but over here you have three different color codes. You have red for expired, yellow for within expiration time frame. That means it's about to go, and blue for needs attention. That's for the items that have multiple expiration dates under like one particular product. So like that's your, like in the example we had before, we had the ramen that had the 14th and it had a bunch of other expiration dates. Now why is this red? That's some, oh right, yeah, I can see I made a mistake there, but this goes to show how easy it is to actually fix it. So I actually set the year incorrectly, and that's why it's showing up red. So I'm just gonna change this and save it. Now if I go back to my recently added items, shouldn't be red anymore. Yeah, it's yellow. So that means it falls within the 6 month expiration time span I set in my settings for notifications to be sent out to me for preps that are about to expire. I want to know 6 months ahead of time, what's gonna expire. That way I can react to it and I can consume them or use them in whatever fashion I see fit. So there you go. That's how we add products without barcodes in the database, and that's as simple as it gets. Later we'll talk about this color coding and what this means. I think we just talked about that now in detail, but we'll go over it in a bit more detail once we start talking about the email notifications. Now, if we go back to view items, we can obviously search for this stuff by, well, the water, the nutmeg shows up as first, but I can type in water here, and here I have my water. That's what I saved it as, and there you go. So that's it. The next section will cover some more bits of the application, and you should have a better feel for it. We'll get into the locations as well and a few other features, and these two buttons here called download as PDF and download as CSV. That's coming shortly. Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about adding items without an expiration date, like this ice melt product over here. And that's really simple. All you need to do is scroll down, uncheck the has expiration, add an alias like you would normally do, and then scan the barcode. Make sure you have a steady and clear view of the barcode on your camera. I didn't at that point. Let's try that again. There you go. So that's as simple as it gets. Yeah, we'll find the item and then you'll see that it has expiration date, or expiration. Now you can notice the category is off a bit, and that happens from time to time. And in order to report that to us so that we can fix it in the back end, you would just click on the item, specify that the product is inaccurate, and then we'll investigate on our end, and then you save that. and that'll just notify us that there's something that we need to look into. Doesn't happen often, but from time to time, some of the products are mislabeled, and we have to make adjustments on the back end. So that's a way of notifying us so that we can actually investigate. Okay, now we're gonna go into the actual view items, which is the place in the application that stores all of the items, everything you scan, from the stuff with barcodes to the stuff without barcodes to the stuff with expiration dates and the stuff without expiration dates. Now, what you see here at the very top of this, and again, this is on the view items section of the application, is that you'll see all these color-coded things at the top. What are these things? What are we looking at here? This is basically all the categories that your preps fall into. And so if you look at mine, you'll see I have craft foil, I have food, beverages, and tobacco. I have soups, I have vitamins, I have cooking oil, baby food, juice, building materials, water filters, vinegar, milk, spices, et cetera, et cetera. Below that, you'll see this beautiful pie chart, and if you were to click and hold, you just click on it, you'll see that what percentages each of these categories represent of your preps. It gives you like a good overview of what you're working with and where you're distributed as far as your preps are concerned, so that you know where you're probably lacking, or where you probably don't have like much of particular supply, like water, for instance. If you see like you have a lack of water based on this chart, then you can take measures to rectify that and make sure that your water is up to the level that you're comfortable with. And this kind of a nice representation, I think, in order for you to be able to see at a glance how your stuff is distributed. Now, below that, you'll see these two buttons, download as PDF and download as CSV, and that's exactly what they do. So if I were just to, for instance, click on this download as PDF, what it'll do is it'll start generating a PDF report of all my preps, organize them, and sort them based on the way I've asked for them to be sorted, based on what I've done on my settings page, which we'll cover later, and then show me a representation of that. So here we have a PDF that you can download and store and print out and keep in the event that the internet goes down, or you don't have access to the application, or you can't access the web, or you just want to have a printout for for peace of mind, so that if the grid goes down, you're not like caught with your pants down, not knowing what you have. And yeah, this gives you that ability. It prints out this PDF, and then you can just store it and on your person by just printing it out and keeping a copy. So if you scroll down here, you'll see that all of the preps that I've gathered over time. You'll see stuff like this where you'll have this like weird looking thing where there's no picture. Sometimes when you scan an item, we don't actually have the picture in the database, but that's always something we're looking to add or fix over time. And if you were to zoom in on any one of these items, you can see the manufacturer, the category, quantity, and the expiration date. And you keep scrolling, you'll see all of your items, all the way down to the very end. And again, we do color code these as well. So everything that's red is expired. Everything that's yellow is within the expiration time frame that you set in your settings. So here we have some reds. We have a couple of yellows. So these are about to expire, so I need to act on these. And then the ones that are blue are fine. These are good. These are gonna last well beyond, my configuration that I've set for notification of expirations on my preps. Yeah, that's the PDF. Now we go back. You can do the same thing for CSV, so you can actually get a copy of this as a spreadsheet. So you can download that. That becomes available here. And I'm looking at this on a phone. Obviously, you probably put this on a desktop, but as you can see, it has like all of my preps with a bit more detail here. Since it's a spreadsheet, we've taken the liberty of also adding the description and a few more things. As you can see, some of these descriptions are pretty long and they scroll on for a while. And that's just the nature of some of these products. Then at the far end, we have the actual product names. So if I just go back to the beginning, you'll see the first column has the expiration date, the alias that you typed in when you were adding the product, the manufacturer and the quantity, and also, the categories as well. And this is, again, this is of these two reports are something you can actually leverage and just print out so that you don't actually need to be on the internet, because I know that's an objection people raise, like, well, what happens if the grid goes down and or your server gets attacked or there's an EMP strike? Oh, yeah, you can periodically print these reports and just keep them on your person so that you always have access or have like this level of organization for your preps and not have to worry about, grid down scenario or not being able to access our servers if that were to happen. Carrying on with the view items, you can see it's basically what we discussed before. It's all of your preps at a glance. Then you can scroll down and you can kind of see them and they're color coded. Now here's the one I told you about guys about earlier. When you see something like this, it's color coded blue. That basically means it's something that needs your attention. And the reason why it's doing that is because you have multiple items within this some set of ramen 12 packs. And what do I mean by multiple items? So we probably scan multiple ramen packs just with different expiration dates. So if you were to click here, you will see that two of them are yellow, which means these two fall within your expiration time frame. And the one that's white is pretty much good to go. You don't have to look at that. But the two above need your attention. They're things that fall within the time frame that you set for a notification of like expiration within the settings page. So that's why if you come back here, you'll see that this is in blue. And that's what that means when you're looking at the view items page or the location page, which we'll cover later. If you see something yellow, that just means that it's also falling within the time expiration time frame you set. And blue again means that it's a multi it's an item with that's duplicated across um, multiple expiration dates. And here we have two of these items. One expires on March 1st to 21st, and we have one that expires September 23rd on the 2020 and 2022. And here we have Gatorade Punch, etc. And I've sorted my items based on, and I've sorted them, I think, in ascending order. So you'll see the stuff that expires first, and then the stuff that expires last towards the bottom of the list. So if I was just to keep scrolling down, you would see stuff like this cereal, these dry nuts, brown rice, and these nutriments, and etc. These don't have any color codes on the title, so that means that they're not going to expire anytime soon. Okay, now we're going to look at locations. What are locations? Locations is basically just, any location you want to define as an abstraction. It can be your bug out location, it can be your basement or floor, it can be a shelf in the basement, a top shelf in the basement, it can be a bottom shelf in the kitchen, it can be a basement floor, it can be whatever. Like you can literally type in whatever. So in order to create a location, it's pretty simple. You just click on this create location, and here I would just say, you know, maybe I'll call it the secondary bug out. See if this thing doesn't want to cooperate with me. Okay, maybe learn how to type. I'll call this a secondary bug out house. And I'll just create that location. Now it'll be added here at the bottom. And you can see it has 0 preps in it. So now if I were to click on the blue button, I would come here and it would show me this page that's empty because we haven't added anything to this location. So this is my secondary bug out house. Here I would obviously want to add something, and this goes and it basically searches all of your items that you have in the view items that haven't been added to any other location. Anything that's been added to another location is not obviously available because it can't be physically in two places. If you have 2 packs of ramen and you store them in the bottom shelf, they're in the bottom shelf. You can't just split the atoms and have them in 2 places. They're gonna be in one place. So, that's why in this page you only see stuff that's actually available and hasn't been assigned a location. Here, this calcium supplement hasn't been added to any location, so I'm going to add it to my secondary bug out house by just clicking on this green button. And if we were to go back to the locations and click on you would see here it says total preps, and it actually has one now because we just added that to our secondary bug out house. And here you go. We have our supplement here, and then our secondary bug out location. This feature is pretty cool because it allows you to actually add items to actual physical locations like you would in the real world, as opposed to just having that one big view items page that just shows you everything. This actually allows you to segregate your items as you would in the physical real world, and that way you know what's where, and you can easily see that by grouping them the way you like, by creating locations based on whatever your particular setup is. And obviously this has also too the same search capabilities. It has the text bar that auto completes. We have a search by barcode as well by clicking on the barcode button. And if I go back to locations, I'll show you a location with much more items. And let's go to my basement middle shelf. Here again you get the same distribution, and this is on a per location basis. So here these are the categories that I have stored in this location and the actual percentages. This one is I have 31% of like the soups and broth here, and here are the items that are in this particular location, and this is the basement middle shelf location. Now, if you make a mistake or you just don't location is no longer relevant and you want to get rid of it, simple as just clicking on the remove location button, and that'll just prompt you and tell you that this is something that can be reversed. And if you agree to that and say yes, delete it, it just gets rid of that location and you're left with whatever you had before. So that's just an easy way to clean up stuff. Like in the event that you've moved your preps from one location to the next, you can just come back into the screen and just remove a location that's no longer relevant or no longer a part of your prep readiness setup. Okay, we're back, and now we're in the settings page. Now this is the page where you'll want to come and modify some other items or some things that control actually how the application behaves and what it does and how it lets you see things. So as you notice, the first thing you can do here is change your avatar icon. You can put whatever you want here. Doesn't really matter. It can be anything. It can be a picture of a dog or a cat or a reptile. It doesn't matter. You can just put whatever you want there. First name, last name, same thing. You can just call yourself whatever you want. Here, call Joe Blow. Email actually has to be an actual email so that the expiration notification that you get over email actually hits your inbox. Here I put a at b.com obviously for privacy purposes because we're doing a demo. So, but this is not like a real address. You would want to put a real address here. Now this is one of the interesting options you have in the settings page, and that's the sort items by expiry. So as you notice in your view items and your locations, your preps are sorted based on the expiration date. And how it sorts it is it's sorted by whatever you set here. So in this particular case, I've set my views, i.e. my view items and my locations and my recents and those particular lists to be shown to me in ascending order. You want to change that, you can just click here and you can just say, show to me in descending order. So the stuff that expires last shows up at the top of your list, and the stuff that expires first goes towards the bottom. Obviously, I want to see the stuff that expires first, so I'll just leave it I'll leave it in ascending order. Now, this is another interesting one. This is the expiration notification time frame that I've been talking about. That actually drives what gets color coded and what doesn't get color coded as far as the titles are concerned. In this particular case, I've set mine to notify me 6 months before the expiry of a particular prep. So 6 months before something expires, I want the email sent out to me, and I want those actual preps listed in that email. And I want to know 6 months ahead of time. That way, I have time to eat or consume them or use them however I want. Now, obviously, you can set that to something as low as a week if you want. But I think setting it as far apart as possible is probably a good thing because then it just allows you to, it gives you time. And I think you can do up to a year here. Yeah, you can. You can do up to a year. So if you want to know a year ahead of time, you can just choose to be notified 1 year before the actual item hits its expiry date. And this is on a per item basis. It looks at each of the expiration dates, every night, and it checks to see what falls within the range that you've set here. And if it does, you'll just get an email notification. Now, the email notification is something you want to look out for. It'll probably fall into spam, so you might just make sure you check your spam and you see anything from the expiration bot that you can, flag it as something that's not spam, and that way, going forwards, it'll fall into your inbox. Here's the trash setting. Now, this is whenever you delete an item and the application doesn't actually get deleted straight away. It gets put in the trash, so you don't have to fear deleting something by accident unless you remove a location. Once you remove a location, that's gone permanently, and you'll have to recreate it. But if you remove a prep from the view items or from one of your locations, etc., or even from your recents, then it goes into the trash, so you have an opportunity to recover them. Now, the trash does get deleted automatically at the backend, and how often that happens is controlled by this setting. So here you have the beginning of the month, the 15th of the month, the end of the month, or daily. I've left mine at daily because, end of the day, I want, all that stuff to go away that's in the trash bin. So I want the garbage collector to come on by and pick up all the trash that, I've probably created throughout the day. And that can be stuff that I've eaten already that no longer in my preps, or, things that I've accidentally scanned or, whatnot. And here, this is just like talks about the different payment options. This is the $5 monthly plan and the $50 monthly plan at this current moment. Here is another feature that deserves a little bit of attention, and this goes into the actual items that you have duplicates of, i.e., in our example before, we had ramen, and ramen had multiple expiration dates. So what this basically says is that I want to merge similar items, and I want the application to grab the information of the first item that I've scanned, or maybe the last one, or don't merge them at all. Show them as separate items inside of my view items or or in my locations. I don't want them to be merged, and I don't want that expiration drop down thing that we saw earlier. I'll show that in a bit, but let's talk about this. Take information of the first item for merge. So if you remember what we were able to do when we were adding items, and let's just go back to the view items page and just look at an example over here. I just look up ramen. I think this 12 pack, yeah, this one has multiple items. So you can see here, this has been merged, and it's been merged by what was called it's been merged by using the information that you've set for the first item that you actually added to your preps. So if you called the first item and the first item had a product label of ramen 12 packs, and the second item you added had a label of ramen, it will actually choose the ramen 12 packs because that's the first item in the merge. Whereas if you said choose the latest item, what it'll do is if you added the first item as ramen 12 packs and then you added the second item as my ramen will show up in the title over here instead of ramen 12 packs. So that's how choosing the first item or the last item works. That's just a title thing. It'll grab that, it'll grab your product label, and that it'll choose whatever you've set as the title. If you want the first one to show up as a title, like ramen 12 packs, it'll do that. If you want my ramen to show up and that was the last ramen pack you added when you were adding your preps to the application, it'll show my ramen here instead of ramen 12 packs. And the last option we had was do not merge. So there may be a case where you don't actually want to see your items merged like this. You don't want to show up like this at all. You just want them to be separated completely. Like you want to have one item that has the expiration date of the 2nd or the 21st of June 2nd, 2021, and then you want another entry to show up as February 26, 2021. And let me show you what that looks like. I want to go back here to my settings, and then I would come over here and say, I don't, I want you not to merge similar items. I don't want you to take the first items or product label and use that as the label, and I don't want you to use the last item at all. I just don't want you to merge it at all. If I were to come here, update my profile, and go back to my view items, if I were to search for ramen, you can see here that now February 26, 2021 shows up as a separate item. And if we go back, we go to the second one, June 21st shows up as a separate distinct item. So they're not merged at all. We don't get that drop down that we saw before. Now that's in the event that you don't want to merge your items, but I like to merge them because it just keeps everything tidy and I don't have to scroll as much. But you know that option is yours. You can do whatever you want. But you do have the ability to change the way that works. I think there's one more thing we need to cover in the settings. Let's go back to that. Yeah, obviously you can change city state, and this can be anything you want. Doesn't really matter. And here you can obviously update, your passwords. Whenever you make changes here and you update the profile, you don't have to actually enter or change your password each time. You can just change any of these other settings without changing the password. But if you do start entering like existing password and like new and confirm password, it would accept that and change your password in the on the back end. And obviously here you have the cancellation subscription button as well in the event that you want to opt out and don't want to use the application anymore, cancel your subscription. You can just hit that button and it'll automatically remove you from the system. Okay, now we're going to talk about the last thing that you need to know about. And this is the actual email that you'll get when your items are about to expire or, fall within that time range you set in the settings. This is the email you'll get. It'll come from the expiration underscore bot at PrepperSupplyTracker.com. And then you'll see, the subject of time to check your preps, where it says it's that time. You'll get some information here. Here basically says you set the expiration notification to 6 months, and that's why you're getting this email. And then below that, you'll see everything that falls within that expiration range. And this gives you like, heads up that you need to actually go in and, use these preps and, take some action. Whether you consume them, give them away, or do whatever you want with them. That's on you. But you get them. You at least get the notification. So this is not something you have to like sit there and think about or worry about. The application does that for you. You just need to, check your email like you would do on a normal basis anyway. And yeah, that's it. Now you have a, good chance of, catching the stuff before it goes, using it, and then rotating your preps. And once you get the new batch in, you can just come back into the application, scan them, and put them back into your different location buckets, and you'll be good to go. And now you can save money that you would have otherwise wasted on stuff that would have otherwise expired without your knowledge. And who wants to have that happen, especially if stuff does hit the fan. You don't want to find out that all the things you've put away are pretty much useless because they've been there for so long that you've forgotten about them and now they're dead and they're pretty much harmful for consumption. That's something you can avoid with this application.